so as another part of this, right? This is something that I think is really interesting, something that we need to delve into. If you haven't seen before part one of this, I actually don't know what I'm actually naming this little two-parter series, to be honest, because it all happened back to back. I did a big discussion on T-Top's event, the No Cut 2 event, basically a whole disaster that happened there. It just, as a league, it just fell apart. It's not the first time this has happened. I have love for T-Top, especially for what they've done for By the Pound. It was amazing. I think By the Pound 2 happens. I think it needs to happen. I think it would save T-Top a lot. But, you know, that's a bias. I'll be real. Pretty please bring it back. But not long after the event, if not 2 days, 3 days after, we've got this article. Now, Organik from King of the Dot has written an article talking about what, and very, very much what's wrong with battle rap. That's the whole thing. What's wrong with battle rap? Now, I want to go through it, and I seen Halcyon report or Lauren go through that. Salute. Is it Halcyon? I'll still never get that right. Halcyon report. They went over this, and it was quite interesting hearing that from a solely UK perspective. Obviously seen the back and forths. I'm not delving into that too much, whether from Salute Maverick, Salute Sean, Salute Premier Battles. I've heard so many different perspectives of it. It's not worth that. I'd be doing what is being talked about on this article here if I then just reported, oh, they said this, they said that. All people had good points, and they're all coming from a perspective of making battle rap great again. That sounds like Trump, but making battle rap what it was. But can battle rap be what it was? Are we in a generation that can actually foresee that? Can we utilize the tools of today to return to a form of yesterday with all this new technology? I don't think so. I think battle rap has to change and adapt in so many different ways, and I actually think there's more of a focus on the social media part of it, in how you legitimize yourself on social media, where a league owner's job used to just be, and I say just, I don't mean just, I know how much they do, was book the battles, present the events, and all the umbrella things, which is a lot under the umbrella, but the headline it was the bookers, you know, and then they get the content and whatnot. But with this, it becomes a situation of how, like the social. I think every league needs a social media guy. They need a social media guy, and I think a lot of people have tried to become league owners and haven't managed it because it cuts. There's no money in it. There's no money in it at all. But also, like when you have the big leagues and the focus is almost always the big leagues, how do you set yourself apart? And the only way you do that is by being risky. It's the only way that you manage to do this, by setting yourself, by saying, we're going to do this. This is what we're doing. We're going to book Daylight and Rum Nitty. Now, TBL, that was a small league that Chilla Jones were working with for ages. And then they came out with Daylight versus Rum Nitty. Now all of a sudden they're top 5. And then it's Mook and Hitman, Easy versus Cassidy, all in 1 year. We got to remember, TBL booked some of the biggest battles of our time in 1 year. But that's how people get up. They get up in the culture by doing that, by putting more money in gambling. You know, they said the house always won, but it doesn't always seem like that. So we have this article. I want to go through it. It'll all be timestamped on in little sections and whatnot. It seems like I've read it once over before doing this. It's an interesting article, so let's go through it.
I must not give in to these fantasies of weakness. Doubtless this is some charm laid on me by an evil shaman, evil sorcerer. Only the chase has meaning.
Yeah. Keep running. sue me like owls do to the rats and the clouds do when I'm moody. Proud dads for Suzuki's, you backed out and amuse me. I'm good here from I tear your whole crown flat. From I'm in the outback with no neighbors, giant snakes and the gators. You feel fear in your veins ever since the moment you came in. Heat raises the stakes and big meat is the fragrance. I reign here from a day you to doubt that. From I'm in the outback with my chest out, I'm the best out. Who's next? Put you through the test, do to chew your neck out. When you eat through tube and bed bound, from I eat mountains for breakfast. Keep rounds in these
Yo, shout out to everybody out there who's watching this. Subscribe to the channel. We're doing big things. My man Cammy. It's your man Caps, aka Angry Fan Man. We up out of here.
Let's actually talk about it. The artists, the league, the media. Court is in session. Before I get started, this is about one league or whatever, blah, blah, blah. The cautionary. This isn't about, this is just of the culture, right? Okay. What are the expectations? So I'm headlining these as I read them and went, okay, that's about this. That's probably about that. I've divided it up. So this section, what are the expectations? What is the benefit to being a battle rap league owner in this current climate? Right now, leagues are expected to carry all the risk, whilst artists carry almost none. Leagues fund everything: venues, flights, hotels, event production, marketing, post-production. And at the end of it, they're hoping everything goes right and it just breaks even. When it doesn't, they're the ones that are left holding the debt and the public slander. To most reading this, those are just words. To a league owner, that's a grim reality that can't be ignored. Battles fall through, performances don't match the pay, deposits get taken with no delivery, and no-shows have become a normal occurrence, but people don't understand with what they're actually doing at an event. Sending a deposit back doesn't fix anything. That's a fraction of the damage. By that point, everything is already in motion. Flights are booked, hotels are paid, the venue is locked in, the staff is hired, graphics are done, trailers are out, marketing is run, fans have already bought the tickets. You don't just replace that, you damage the entire event, you damage the brand, you damage fan trust, and the league eats it all. So, for something like this, as he's going over like the general stuff, I do think, as he says there, as Organik says, there's a lot of things that are being paid for. I think you need to find a way of cutting costs. You need to find a way. This might come with deals and negotiations with venues or something like that. That, you know, reliably, like, you know what we do. We will bring people here. We maybe need a little bit of a deal on this, but the fact that a deal maybe needed to be done shows that battle rap isn't as efficient as it once was. So, like what they're saying, they're hiring staff and they're hiring, you know, the post production, the editing and whatnot. I think you might need to cut them. I think I know King of the Dot used to do edit their own videos and whatnot, but you know, that's a difficult one. Like you have to find a cutting costs and put your money where the places are. I talked on the last video about escrow, which is like boxes and all that use, where you put your money in somewhere safe. So there's never a situation where you're actually giving back the deposit. Like, you're giving 10% of the money and then you're holding 90% of it. Or like you're giving 20%, you're holding 80%. So like you're getting back most of the deposit in general anyway, and that money that you have is secure rather than that 50%. Now, that the accountability of that, unfortunately, is still doesn't land and where it should be. You know, the battle rappers fuck up and the league suffer for that. And here, there's no one that knows that more than a UK battle rap fan when it came to whether it's Apex 1, where it came to just all these international battle rappers trying to come over, like big birthday weekends, and we've missed out on battles because they're just not happening. There was a point where it used to not happen, but then people hit licks, you know. I think JC was a prime example of that for No Cut 2, where JC just decided, I'm not doing it. Well, after saying that he would. But and King of the Dot had these big ones. I remember Verb was a big problem with getting over in Canada. He said he would do it. I think it was like twice, something like that. Like one against Shorty Horror and one against someone else, and he still couldn't do it. And you know, it ended up being Caustic versus Averb in the West Coast. And
when
again,
you call back, shit. You got water, dog. So that's my fault, yeah.
That's all flights and all that being booked. So he's not wrong here. You know, it's the league bears the weight of it, but there is this idea as well of, you know, because running a battle rap league is a gamble, and there's no the reward is the build of the culture. That's the reward. But when you're on the horse, you got to stay on the horse. URL is the most consistent league. And URL is the most consistent battle rap league, and I'm putting that above King of the Dot. I'm putting that above RBE, because when all else has failed, URL was around. Like yes, King of the Dot were doing the Twitch stream for a little while, but there was definitely pockets where King of the Dot weren't around. The people were like, "Where is King of the Dot? Where are they?" And RBE obviously had their rise, and you know, and then they were just as consistent as URL until very recently, when RBE's like, "Nah, we're not doing this anymore," and turned into a bit of a blogger channel for a while. Now they're somewhat doing battles again. It's not consistent, so it's when saying that, okay, by like, with all these things that are needing done and whatnot, like URL is the most consistent league, and it's difficult to really put that point across as from especially from King of the Dot's perspective, that when you are constantly doing this booking and whatnot, you're constantly, you know, being the league. You know, you have to be the league as soon as you start. So, like, what's the benefit of being a battle rap league owner? You have the footage. You are the house, and that's the point I was trying to get to there. You are the house, and there's that mentality of, oh, like we you know, we don't like the house. We like independency. We like people doing their own thing. We like all this other stuff. We like this guy going over to there and Small League getting that paper and hustling. We like hustlers. We don't like the house. But you need the house. You need the consistency. Look, the amount of times that URL's been screwed over, the amount of times URL's been screwing people over, you know, that's been the biggest fight of URL. UFC has that problem with Conor McGregor. That's why we had never seen him fight for so many years, because he was bigger than the house. You know, like it's one of these things where we look at King of the Dot and we go, you are a big league. You are one of the biggest. You are 800,000, 900,000 almost subscribers. I think maybe it's like 830. I can't quite remember. You are a lot of subscribers. You are a big league. You are one of the biggest movers. But if you are not consistent with the culture in supporting it, in like, if you can't manage, how does a small league manage? You know, how does a Premier Battles manage? You know how Premier Battles manages? Not a single thing is paid for. Like, I can attest for Premier Battles, not a fucking bit of money's back to them. It's for the love of the game. It's like Averb's Twitter. It's not, he doesn't pay for that. He just trolls for the love of the game. Like Premier Battles, like, and none of the UK league owners, but I think it's a love for the sport. That, I would argue, is what's the expectation? Love the sport. What's beneficial for a battle rap league owner? Getting people together that love the sport, and then hosting dope battles that then happen, and then somehow, whatever way, is to try and monetize off the footage. And URL seems to be the one benefiting the most between URL and iBattle. And iBattle pay a lot more, but they have a smaller community and they dive into it. So like, you know, like iBattle, between iBattle and URL, they will stay alive. And if anything, iBattle's such a great example of what to do in battle rap, for real. Like what they're doing is they're not going above and beyond their station, but they're also hosting some of the best battles currently. You know, so it's a very interesting dynamic. But as I finish this point off, I think we need to look at an escrow situation. You know, and the contracts need to change. And the benefit of being a league owner is hosting the battles. and being the person that provides the opportunities. You know, it's a selfless plight, but the house isn't winning, and that is a big problem. There's a big problem. There's no benefit to being a league owner, and that's no benefit being a King of the Dot league owner, apparently. Imagine what it's like being Premier Battles or a smaller league that can't even gamble to get the big battles. Imagine what that's like, and being like spit that heat, you know, like or just 3BL, you know, like what's that like, you know. It's a difficult one, but let's continue. No collaboration. That's at least this part. So then the same artist can then go ahead, can go get booked somewhere else the next week like nothing happened, while the league is left dealing with refunds and the financial reality. That's where things started to shift, because there's no real accountability. It doesn't stop there. The same content leagues pay to create is now being used against them. Moments that were funded, produced, and built getting taken and used for personal gain with zero concern if the league owner ever benefits from it. No thought about the pay-per-view rollout, the business behind it. Just post, go viral, and move on. That's not collaboration. That is exploitation. And what makes it worse is there's a lot of these names, these moments, these careers were built on league platforms in the first place. So the stages, the production, the YouTube drops, that's where the identity comes from. So when artists and media move, the leagues I'll say that one again. So when artists and media move, the leagues don't matter. Like it's just a check and a clip. They're hurting the same platforms that built them. So this kind of takes a shot at, I actually would say, someone like people like A-Ward, Snake Eyes, even a Henny Man. I'm thinking of the independent battle rappers. So the battle rappers that that would battle anywhere. This is A-Ward before URL. This is like a lot of things. A lot of these battle rappers that just go from league to league to league getting that money. Some battle rappers were just earning so much more money without being tied to a league. But that is because they were wanting to be a superstar, and there were so many smaller platforms allowing them, and they were bringing their fan base to the league. So like for example, I think, you know, where there's the A-Ward and Geechee battles that were like, it's like a saga of them. So like the Compliments battle and that, but then there's also the one on the Riot and the one years before, just when the first real loss from Geechee after his reign began, you know, like the year of where he battled Shotgun Sugar and whatnot. That is more of a shot at the independents and people that are hustling, but you can't stop someone from hustling. Like battle rap is like inherently, as I said before, the fans are going to root for the battle rappers over the house, over the league. It's an unfortunate thing because we idolize the battle rappers and not the league itself. Like, we have echo chambers of the leagues. We definitely do. I'm very fortunate enough that I'm friends with every single type of echo chamber. I am friends with the guys that would watch King of the Dot, that haven't watched battle rap in years, but they'll watch World Domination 9, that haven't watched battle rap in so many years, but they'll come to Summer Madness. Summer Madness and World Dom both happen in the UK. I know fans that won't go, and they'll just go to Apex. Those that are just like, keep it local, they just care about eyeball. Like echo chambers are a thing. We no longer have the fans that follow all the culture is so small, and I'd like to put myself in there as someone that follows everything as a knowledge. I run series about battle rap tic-tac-toe, and it's about your knowledge in all of battle rap, and we have top 10 lists of all sorts. And you literally have to scout the world of battle rap. And it pushes people to look at different things. It pushes, and it's something that I grew up with in battle rap. I grew up with this world mentality, and I'm not putting myself over. I don't mean to, but this idea that we don't. That the problem is that nobody cares. It's just viral, move on. This thought of it. There's so much more to that. and I'm going to get into it, but there's so much more of this where it's just a clip or whatever, and it's just when it's not echo chambers, like your algorithm guides you to where you want to go. So if you had a King of the Dot algorithm, you are going to get King of the Dot. That's something that we need to look into. How do you break down the algorithm, and how do you send this? How do you send all these fans to the next thing? The great thing about WWE is there's a calendar. There's a calendar. So WrestleMania, end of March, start of April. SummerSlam is around August, right? Like usually the start of August. Survivor Series, end of November, or like middle of November. So and there is a calendar, and events fit in between this. Like if you want this sort of situation of accountability of where to book and all this, you need a fucking centralized calendar. And is it really going to do that? No. King of the Dot, are you going to do that? Probably not. But this is a reach out to collaborate with everyone. Like it can't just be this one spot, because if you have this calendar, then the algorithm will go from here to here to here to here to here. Like it will guide you, because you are following the battle rap culture. Like when I was 14, and it was from King of the Dot. I literally could tell you my journey. Sorry, I'll talk about me again. I went from I watched Professor Green and Jump Off. From Jump Off, Professor Green, I went to King of the Dot, because I went Jump Off. I went to even more detail. I went from Professor Green, Jump Off. I went to the World Rap Championships, and I ended up finding Professor Green versus Jin. That went into Fight Club. Through Fight Club, it was Jin and Serious Jones afterwards. But that the algorithm then pointed to a very recent battle that was uploaded, Dumbfounded versus Kid Twist. Now I knew Kid Twist from the World Rap Series. I find that, and at that point, I am hooked, because I am 13, or maybe no, I'm 12. Again, I get my days muddled up. I'm about 12, coming on 13, and I'm 31 now, and I'm going, oh my god, this is incredible. Because Kid Twist had my humor. He had my humor. Don't Flop had my humor at that age. They had teenage humor. So my algorithm it took me in this journey in battle rap. The algorithm needs to centralize battle rap, and you can only do that by organizing between the big leagues, organizing when these events happen, and between each other. Okay, this month's space. This is Summer Madness. This is our big event, and maybe you have a small event on the weekend at either side, but you cannot book this talent. World Dom is, let's say Summer Madness is September. World Dom is, we just had World Dom like in March, we have had World Doms in March. Let's say World Doms in March, right? And okay, we've got this talent. You can do either side, but don't pick but you have to have a centralized calendar, and it's not all going to work, because in the end you need to make your money, and the money that you're taking from is the fans, and to then support the business. And there's only so much that we can do to support the business. So it's all coming from the same money. It's a pot of money, and it's just how much you get from that pot of money is to do a battle rap. But that's why, and people don't have any trust in the culture anymore. Part of this, like the bootlegging and whatnot, that comes from no trust. I was 17, 18 bootlegging because I didn't have the money. I had a job where I worked a weekend and went to school. Of course I was bootlegging. Of course I was watching it. Like I barely knew how to work my fucking bank card. I'd go and get a pie. like that's what I would do. Like it's unfortunate, but these are harsh truths that we used to do that shit when we were younger. But there's a big point here on this article, on this part of the article, where it says no thoughts about pay-per-view sales, rollout, or the business behind it. Just post, go viral, and move on. That's not collaboration. That's exploitation. It's a few things to say about that, right? YouTube content is pretty much transferable, especially in this TikTok era. It's all pretty much transferable. So like, there's obviously copyright strikes. There's that system. There's all of this, right? And this even for an example, ruin your day. Like I love ruin your day. I love like and there's a big shout out at the end of this article about ruin your day. Watch Battle Lives. It's just watching battles with people. It's reusing the content, and like, where's the benefit to that? The benefit is on Ruin Your Day. Now, I know Avocado films it all, and, you know, his perspective is always great, and same with the battle rappers he has on. There goes the positives. There's, as transformative, there's content with it. There's discussions with it. You know, people hold themselves accountable. That's the collaboration. But essentially, it is repurposing the footage. And it is, they have shorts of battles that they post on themselves. Like, but that energy is not on them because they have provided so much to the culture. So you can't, but you can't be selective on where you decide that this energy is going towards. You can't have this section here and then not consider that Ruin Your Day is someone that does this too. I'm going to say this, and I hate that I'm actually going to say this. This part sounds like, if you want to protect your footage, you need to use QuarterLab. You need to pay QuarterLab. You need to get whatever, you know, as soon as someone tries to use it, snipe. But what you'll find is if you don't have people talking about it or posting it or whatever, because people want to show other people. Like, if you don't do that, right, you're going to be in a position where battle rap is just non-existent on the internet. URL, until very, very fucking recently, was non-existent on the internet. And I'm saying internet as in, like, you know, the social media pages and whatnot. Completely non-existent because they were sniping everyone. They were protecting their footage. And that's the business that you will find yourself in if you want people to then talk about battle rap or whatever. If you want that and you want, oh, this is a fire, watch this moment, watch that moment. If you want in that, QuarterLab won't allow you to do that. But it sounds like an advocation a bit for QuarterLab and protecting your footage. And like iBattle had a really good one where it's like, you know, if I don't care about you posting our shit. Like, I don't care about posting clips. Obviously, you know, I mean clips, not like whole battles. But if you are, put a link for our pay-per-view. That's what I ask. If not, we're striking that shit. Good. Like, it might just mean you have to utilize the tools given. But I say QuarterLab, it's that on a section there, you know, no real accountability, you know, get QuarterLab then. If and like what else can a media gain from watching a battle other than the views from it? Other than they may put themselves on, but like a perspective, you know, when it's transformative, not just copy this, boom, whatever. If it's transformative, what else is there to gain other than eyes? You know, so there's an independent argument there. You know, like the likes of the A-Wards and whatnot. You know, QuarterLab might be the answer. You know, everyone's accountable for that. And I'd argue the only people that aren't accountable for that is someone like Caps, Angry Fan, and the radios, the discussions. Battle rap would be dead without the media. It would be dead. I may get into that. Well, okay, let's get into the next part. But I think there's got to be cost cuts somewhere. There's got to be a lot of things going on. Okay, next part. Leagues poaching storylines. If the league dies, this is Organik's quotes again. If the league dies, what happens to the legacy? Classic battles sit on channels with no motion and no chance to ever go again, just lost in time. We're also at a point where money doesn't even make sense anymore. A lot of these prices are based on what people did years ago and not what they bring today. No promotion, no ticket moving, no real data behind the numbers, but the expectations are still premium. At the same time, those names are everywhere. Every weekend, every league, no exclusivity, no scarcity, no demand. Nothing feels like a big moment anymore. Anyone with a couple of grand can book matchups that other leagues spent years building. No structure, no respect for timing, no respect for the work that went into it. And that's where leagues also have to take accountability. responsibility because we allowed it to get here. We don't need 5 leagues all trying to be the number one in a niche culture. There should be a few top platforms with their own identity, and the rest should be focused on building talent and helping artists earn their way up. So there's, again, quite a lot to digest there. What happens to a league when it dies? I mean, it's like any other business. That it's just, what else can you do? The best thing to do is download the battles, like, you know, download the battles, keep them as your own memory, because if a league dies, that's it. That is it, or they'll go into something else. But if you have that, if you have your own archive, every battle rapper, 1, should have a YouTube channel, 2, should have an archive of all their battles. And if you can, with every battle that you should have posted, you should collaborate with the league. So connect to your own channel. Because if you want to bring eyes on something else, let's say that you're doing a big Among Us, you're a big Among Us streamer, right? And I tell you what, forget that. I'm gonna shout out the Burke here. The Burke is like he's talked about in his battles. Is like a horror podcast guy. Or like he goes into these details of horror movies and stuff. That shit has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Collab. Do the collab. Like, connect your channel there and cross-reference fans, because YouTube, they have a collaborate feature. Connect the fans. Like, if you're gonna find a way of doing this, you need to connect the fans, right? And I know this guy does this. Oh, he does this other thing, and I can watch it. Let's see what he's saying. Oh my god, this is incredible. Hypothetically, or oh my god, this is shit. I don't want to see about it. But you got. I think every battle rapper needs a channel, and if they care about it. If they care about their perception, if it is just, fuck it, I'll just do whatever, cool, whatever. But you can't. I would say this, but I can't expect everyone to be able to do that. This shit takes a long time. It takes a long time, so it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Where he says there, no promotion, no ticket moving, no real data behind the numbers, but the expectations are still premium. I would argue that the media is doing the promo for the battle rappers, right? So no wonder there's no real data, because the data is not on your league. You're in control of your data. So if you are going to be posting this out, you're in control of it. Premier Battles does a great job of that. Like, they are making WWE type episodes, 3 battles a time, and they're doing this as part of they're controlling their data. They literally could just upload the battles and do whatever and say, oh, we've released this. Check this battle, that battle, and then at the end talk about the score on a Sunday. But no, they're releasing them on a Sunday and concentrating their environment. It's whatever you want to do. That's particularly hard for King of the Dot when they have an event when they don't even announce any battle rappers. Or they announce battle rappers, but they don't announce battles. But you've made that decision to do so you need to get your data. So you have to look at a battle rapper and what's the data on your league. And yes, at the same time, these names are everywhere because every other league will have the same data, or they'll have no data and they see what they see and like what they like. That gets into a point, I think, a little bit later on. But another point that it says that nothing feels big anymore. It's because of these echo chambers. Like, these echo chambers, and it was like 2018, before being a blogger or anything like that. I used to fall out with someone like Bobby Rex regularly. I was such a big critic. Me and, I'm throwing names out you'll never have heard of before. Me and a guy, Ben Jameson, and a few others, we were so critical. But actually, I'm going to use Ben as an example. So for a description, Ben is a very UK-focused guy, and he's a very critical of raps, but it's like his own perception, and he can sell that shit. He'll tell you that you're wrong and all this stuff. He'll tell you that, and he has a great way of putting his point across, but he's not always correct about it. So then when he does put his point across, you feel like you're wrong, but when the premise wasn't right in the first place and he's affirming his position, it's how Ben operates, right? But he has this perception of battle rap and what's good and what's bad. Like, he'd tell you that Rum Nitty's not the greatest writer of all time. I'll tell you that he is, because we like different things. But He has his echo chamber that might have affirmed his decisions in the fuck URL decisions and all this, right? Where I would actually be I'll say it myself, in 2018, I was a UK battle rap hater. I was a hater, unfortunately, I really was, because what I was seeing wasn't good enough for me. And I was looking at URL and all this stuff, and I was buying all their pay-per-views, and I was in that world. I was so, like, with Angry Fan, and, you know, all the discussion, the hype, the promo, all the storylines, and leading into this is even like 2016, 2017, all of this stuff, that everything felt massive. Everything felt massive, but that was another echo chamber. King of the Dot has their echo chambers, but what they do is they all put each other down. It's natural. That's what the internet does. It breeds your inner, your almost your inner child, like your inner devil. So like, if you loved avocados and you would just have avocados, like if you just love that, it breeds this, and it makes you hate the other side. Rather than the grass being greener, your grass is greener than the other side. And like, there's not too many battle rap fans that love the sport. For example, when I say that they say the grass is greenest on their side, there is barely any US battle rappers that actually fuck with the UK scene. And there's Homeschool is one that really fucks with the scene. And I'm putting him over here because he knows all the intricacies. Cali Smooth surprised me in how much he knew. Like, there's battle rappers that do, but it's such a small amount. Like, and if I talk about UK battle rap, they're like, get that UK shit out of here. And I love Caps. I love him. Get that UK shit out of here. I can't do it. Shorty Horror has been the best battle rapper for, like, probably top 5 in the world for 6-7 years. Stop it. And only now, when he's battled K-Shine, Tay-Rock, and Geechee, is he getting the love he was supposed to get. We used to say, we don't understand him. No, you chose not to, because your echo chamber was comfortable where it was. You bounced off the same walls. So, whether nothing feels like a big moment, that's more the internet culture. Something here as well. We don't need 5 leagues all trying to be the number one niche culture. 5 leagues doesn't seem that big. Now, if you go football, for example, you know, it pretty much is 5 big teams. It was Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool. 5. They sell their t-shirts all the same. You know, they sell everything the same. I know it's a crazy example because football is a money printing, it's forever printing money. Like, but you know, five all trying to be number one. That sounds like it breeds competition to me. That sounds good. So when you say that we don't need 5, it sounds like and it pretty much is the next point. There should only be a few clear top platforms. 5 isn't much more than a few. That's a 1 or 2 more. What, like a few's 3 is 2 more? Battle rap is in such an unhealthy state that we can't have a couple of more. And I'm saying this all with love, and I do agree with a good amount of this. But as I'm just looking over it, I would have my own thoughts of this. But you know, I will say in Organik's defense, wrestling, there's only 2. There's only 2 leagues for like the big ones, and everyone else is a feeder system. So there should be another part here. There should be a few clear with their own identity, and the rest should be focused on building talent and helping artists earn their way up. Now, if there are these problems, like if there's these problems for these big leagues, right? Imagine what the problems are for the small leagues. Doing this, imagine what your echo chamber is. There's fucking no one there. So how, like, if you're saying to us, what's the benefit of being a league owner? What's the benefit of being a small league owner when you do all this work and then give your talent away? If you're going to do that, you need to support the smaller leagues. You need to support the smaller leagues, you know. But there's so much more to this as well. Like even when they say no structure, no respect for timing, no respect for the work that went into it. You know, that's battle rap is a I want it now situation. I mean, that's just fucking life, unfortunately. That is just what have you done for me now lately conversation. That is what battle rap is, unfortunately. It fucking sucks that that's what it is, but that genuinely is just what it is. We are ADHD. We can't just sit and watch something anymore. We are keeping your focus on something is so difficult. It's so difficult. Okay. On to the next part. Organik says, right? And now, as I say, I should keep repeating this point. I am making these headlines. It's just what I perceive from the articles if I divide them up a bit. Right now, everyone's trying to jump straight to being a main platform when they don't understand the weight and responsibility that title carries. Leagues are booking mega matchups they didn't build while also throwing in new talent into situations they're not ready for. They get mismatched, the momentum gets killed before it even starts because fans have no reason to emotionally invest or rally behind them when they're already being pushed into endgame matchups. Fans don't know what matters anymore. Everything is happening everywhere else with no sense of order, and while all this happens, the media plays its part too. Every negative moment gets amplified, every controversy, every issue, every collapse gets pushed to the front. When the events go right, when battles are great, when the culture is moving forward, the same energy isn't there. So what ends up representing battle rap? Drama, problems, dysfunction, and the fans play a role in that too. Where Organik says there about not understanding the weight that booking these big battles carries is very fucking true. That is true, and to be honest, we've actually been quite lucky with that. And nothing says that more than when it comes to No Cut 2 and the battles that they were booking and the noises and the disasters that came with it. There's so much pressure when it comes to it. Like, and you know, in a way, you are taking money out of other leagues, you know? Like when UW booked Lux versus Hollow, that was meant to be Summer Madness 3. That was built up for Summer Madness 3. And it got taken. It was like, no, it's going to happen here. And UW can always carry that on their heads that they had booked Lux versus Hollow. Big matchup at the time, the biggest matchup at the time. But they can hold that and say it. But that's a heavy weight, and the audio is everything about that. That is classic from second to second. When it starts, when it ends, everything about that is classic. Very lucky. Hitman versus Mook. That's been set up for so many years, built up in so many different leagues, meant to be on Summer Madness. Fucking TBL takes it, you know. It's one of these things where even where it comes to the weight that is booked when people are setting up battles, like King of the Dot have both. I think I would actually argue the greatest example and the very worst example of this. The very worst. The greatest being the Pat Stay versus Sharon story, where it was Sharon had to kill everyone. It started from HFK, went to DNA, it went all the way along. All of these battles, all these thesaurus, all these performance of the nights, calling out Pat, hold on. And then when it got to an OVO, like you could never have predicted the OVO was going to push for this to happen. That everything, it was so perfectly done. That is a storyline from start to finish. And even the after fact with Sharon crying on Angry Fan Radio that he lost and he felt cheated, and, you know, Holohan and all that stories, right? But the worst example of this is Disaster versus Jonai. Now, Disaster versus Jonai was in Summer Madness that year, a month and a half, 2 months ago, prior to this being booked. We got Jonai on the stage. Jonai comes out on stage for Summer Madness in front of Smack and says, "Yo, Jonai, if we're getting you, what you saying? What we doing here?" Somebody tell Disaster to come outside. Verbatim what Jonai said. King of the Dot take that battle. That becomes main event in Oakland. Disaster versus Jonai. Jonai was so protected by the URL, was so protected, and they fell apart for business disagreements. That is what it is. He became a free agent. Like, they were so protected of Jonai, and And you know what? In a way, Jonai, like, he probably wasn't being utilized by URL, but I guess they were waiting for the chance to use him. You know, he built such a hype. When it went from that, it went from like Jonai on the PG, and then he battled Newborn, and he was the hottest battle rapper in the fucking world. People like B-Dot, Briz, they were all wanting to battle Jonai. Jonai was him, the most sought after ticket, and King of the Dot gave him disaster. That was, they get mismatched. Momentum gets killed before it even starts because the fans have no reason to emotionally invest or rally behind them. I can tell you this, Jonai's career in King of the Dot is almost frustrating. It's booked completely backwards, right? If you had this, again, hindsight 2020, Jonai probably should have went straight to Psychosis Holocaust. Straight to him. From Psychosis Holocaust, Chilla Jones, right? From Chilla Jones, Danny Myers. Build up this West Coast story, right? From Danny Myers, Daylight. Further build up the story. This is Daylight. He's beating on the West Coast. Somebody bring me Disaster. Disaster versus Jonai. And you have this increase of battle rap going all the way up. Like, it's just backwards how they did that. But obviously, they're booking battle for battle. So, like, again, hindsight is so fucking 2020. But, like, it's so hard to... you would never predicted it. But if we could go back on it, and as Organik would look at this and go, this was totally backwards. Totally backwards. And, you know, even, like... So, with everything here, right? The media is part of this, right? I'm going to say this again. Angry Fan, Three Letterman show, PSA Radio, all of these radio channels saved battle rap. They saved battle rap. The bloggers saved battle rap, because when we're talking about peak battle rap, when we're talking about where it was King of the Dot, RB, URL, and all these other leagues underneath it, right? They weren't booking that many events back to back. Or if they were, it was a lot of smaller events with an announcement of a big battle coming up. So it was the media that kept up the conversation about battle rap. Now, if we had that same form from, like, I don't know, like for King of the Dot, back to basics, and all these littler cards that would lead up to Blackout, all these littler cards that would lead up to World Domination, and whatever, Gully versus Organik. If we had that still, if there was the Bunker series, if we had all this stuff, they wouldn't be reporting so much on the BS. But because King of the Dot dropped off, URL sniped everyone's footage, and what was the media going to talk about? The hottest shit going on was the bullshit. Because we couldn't talk about the battles, and we couldn't watch people talk about the battles, because the footage was getting sniped. So, like, media did what media did and went, okay, we're going to go over here now. We're going to record Twitter Spaces because they're free. We're going to go over here now. You know, what was the media going to do? The only thing it could do is respond. The great thing about the media, and in this conversation of fans, leagues, battle rap, or whatever, like leagues, battle rappers, and media. And media is the only one that gets to respond first, because they have the first thoughts. Media is the reactionary stuff. It's the voice of the people. Some voices have good faith. Some voices absolutely have bad faith. But it comes in a conversation. This is the perception coming across. That's what the media can do. But if you can't, if you're not doing anything about it, we're going to fill in the gaps ourselves. The media is going to fill in the gaps. You know, there was a point being a battle rap fan here and doing this media stuff, and now I can easier access doing everything myself. I would do a video and then I'd wait a month because there was nothing to talk about, and I did not want to talk about the bullshit, but there was nothing else. And then the bullshit became the most important thing because it creeped into the battles. People were referencing the bullshit because it became important parts. If someone like Geechee Geechee versus Easy, like in the third round against Remy Ma. That's all bullshit. But it's a part of the battle now. So if you're a battle rap fan, you have to follow the drama because it's getting referenced. So of course the media is going to focus on that. So when a battle does happen, you know what's being said. Even Let's Talk Battle Rap will do that. You have to provide the context. You know, and I will say this as well, right? When you give all this space between battles, it has felt like there was times where we have too much battle rap and times when there's been no battle rap. Like you need, if you're wanting that centralized calendar to prevent, that'll prevent it. But are they all going to be willing to do that? Can battle rap be kumbaya holding hands, or are people in it for themselves? And that's it. That's a look back on the leagues. Are you in it? Are you in it for the culture, or are you in it for yourselves? And that's where you get. I'm not saying these leagues in particular are in it for themselves or anything like that. So just the same as this article, I'm not aiming it. But if you have those that book the big battles, like, you know, TBL, No Cut, Straight Drop Media, Street Talk Entertainment, they book Hold Don versus Chef Trez. What? And that just happened. You know, like they're booking these big battles. Like, are they in it for the battle rap? Like, I mean, I would assume they are. Obviously, I assume they are. But that's a reflection back on what's going on, you know. Okay, next part. Where the focus is, okay? The same leagues and artists consistently do things the right way and don't get the same support as the ones surrounded by controversy. The culture keeps rewarding the chaos. The new shiny moment always gets more attention than the leagues that have been consistently building and doing things professionally. That's not healthy for the culture. It's speeding everything up in the worst way. Battles that should have been built up are rushed and booked early by people trying to force their way into the position for what? New fans do see the talent, they don't see the moments. New fans don't see the talent, they don't see the moments, they don't see what the culture is at its best. They see chaos. We end up catering to a small percentage of people who thrive on that rather than building something that can actually grow. Somewhere along the line, we lost the focus on raps. That's the core of this all. No structure, no hierarchy, no accountability, and it's catching up on us. Okay. So there is quite a lot to this as well. Okay. New fans don't see the talent, they don't see the moments, they don't see what the culture is at its best. How can a new person find out what battle rap is without repurposing footage? Like, I'll be on. I throw battles, like, I'll have people around and I could throw a battle on that. It's like, I have tried Dumbfounded Conceited. We can all agree that Dumbfounded versus Conceited is the most open gate, easy battle to get someone into battle rap with. All hip hop heads. Nah, put that shit off. What doesn't work nowadays is putting on a battle for people to watch and follow the culture after. That doesn't work anymore. What works is people finding it in their own time. Through shorts, through other forms of media, like through scrolling, and you have to repurpose footage. You can't explain battle rap to a person. I try all the time. You cannot explain this culture to a person. So how can we do it without repurposing footage? As a point that I made earlier on about no benefit. That's the benefit, the reach. Because everyone, we used to have our phones landscape, and now it's portrait. You have to repurpose your footage for portrait now. That's how. The culture keeps rewarding chaos. Now, I really do agree that. I do agree with that. And I think the one man that really highlights that is Easy the Block Captain. I think he is forever rewarded for the chaos. Like yes, I agree. I think he should have went independent if his contract wasn't right, but he signed a contract. What happened ever since he left URL? He started having debatable battles. He got punched in the face by Papoose. Ended up being with Remy Ma. Fell out with everybody. literally everybody and lied about so many different things. And that's the thing, I rock with Easy, but there was a lot of lies. A lot of lies. And he's currently in the back and forth with ARP right now. Like, there's so many things about Easy, and like Easy, I'm sure Easy's a great guy. And I'm sure he's a good guy, but there's so much drama, like even whether that it surrounds him, and he for now he's thriving off the attention of it's Averb is a great example of this. Like, who gave Award this voice now? Averb is just he's a great battle rapper, and his content should speak for himself. But if we're going to be focused on that, like, we're not focused on the battles, because there's not that many battles that are coming out. URL is the only league doing it. Another problem would be if the URL app functioned a little better, and this was a big thing when I said this. I did a whole video series, URL falling off. It was like 5 episodes, 6 technically, but I had to turn one down because it was the editing was all janky. But if the app was a bit better quality and it scrolled easier, and if it was smoother, I spoke to the guy at Summer Madness who did the app. It just needs to be smoother. I told him it needs to be like butter. It needs to spread like butter. But it doesn't. It's so difficult to use. I just give my money to URL because it's $7.99. If King of the Dot did the same thing, I would do the same thing. I would give $7.99. That's a fair price for what has been my life. I would easily do that. Now, another part of this, I guess, like, because we do reward the chaos. Somewhere along the line, we lost the focus on raps. Now, that isn't just a battle rap thing. That's more of a hip hop thing. Like, look at to bring a little bit about battle rap, but as a bigger picture. J Mills is a battle rapper. When he came back, ass dookie, barely any good. He's a god on these diss tracks. He's a god. But when it came to battling Rum Nitty so recently taking on Rum Nitty, and all of a sudden we're talking about, who has the better bars and whatnot. We're all about this. And as soon as someone goes, I like the lyrics, I like what Rum Nitty's doing, he's getting cooked and saying, it's a diss track. It's not about lyrics, it's about being disrespectful. No, someone is trying to put the energy of raps, bars, into the diss tracks. But no, it's about disrespect. It's about like, you don't have to be lyrical miracle. I actually agree with that to a big extent, to be honest. It's not about just being lyrical miracle. What are you saying? What's the diss? But when people came across and said it's about bars, it's about raps, it fell apart. It completely fell apart. So it's a fine line to draw on this. Like, we lost focus on the raps. So, bro, the kids love King Von and they love YMW Melly. Nothing about the raps. The kids love the killing. That's a drill problem. The kids love the killing. That's not just a battle rap thing. That's a world thing. They feel like they can believe who they're listening to. And there's a lot of fake people in battle rap. They don't believe everything. And I actually quite like that there's a lot of fake people in battle rap, because if we had everyone that was this murderer, killer, all of this shit, we would never be monetized. It would never be safe. No one would ever travel. If everyone was real and they never told a lie, battle rap would be the most thugged out, to an extent, it's portrayed as that. Like, this would be the most dangerous thing in the world, and it would be shut down instantly. So I'm glad there's fakers. I'm glad people, and as long as you can sell that shit. But these drill rappers are all chinging people, but that's an old man hip hop angle of we lost care about the raps, but when we do talk about raps, it's not about the it's that's a funny one. But I understand what he's saying there. At the core of this, there's no structure, no hierarchy, no accountability. And I actually think in this article, Organik is given a lot of accountability. Whether he's not blaming himself, but I think he talks about himself too. I respect that a lot. Because again, I've used examples, and I've made a point of using some King of the Dot examples too. Like, even King of the Dot have done this. No one's doing this right. Like, I would say that the same leagues and artists that consistently do things the right way, no, there's not a right way. There's not a right way to do this. There's the way that works. Right now, salacious shit seems to work. Diss tracks seem to work. It's being on top of the algorithm. Anderson Burris is your best example being on top of the algorithm. But in a way, somewhat disenfranchises the authenticity of his battles because he has to work to these shorts. He has to work to that. Like, it's taken one battle rapper to sit down and focus how to manipulate the algorithm to them, because he is some. I know it. I'm a victim of Anderson Burris. You know, like, I got clipped up for 1.3 million views. That's just what it was. But it's, you got every single league needs a social media guy. They do need a social media guy. But there's just to get back to this point, there is not one who does it right. And it's not, and in the wording of that, like, I don't know if it was trying to put over King of the Dot and URL doing it the right way. They've not done it the right way. No one's done it the right way. We lambasted URL for the contracts back in the day for pretty much exactly what this is: exclusivity, hype. They wanted to keep the battle rappers for the next event. We lambast them for it. This is a plea for that. And King, like even King of the Dot, yes, they were given all these opportunities, but they're not perfect in this situation either. You know, like there's so much to this. No one does it right, but they do it their own way. However, I should also say all of these leagues have also done a lot of right things too. I should make sure I've got that clear. That as much as I'm saying no one's done it the right way, there's not a right way, but they've done a lot of good things for good. Like, that would even be better. Doing things the good way. You know, not being salacious about it, not highlighting problems, and not, you know, promoting fights and whatnot. And you know what, King of the Dot, they did a good job in not trying to jump on the bandwagon of, you know, when Math and Disaster happened, Disaster was banned. And that's Disaster. It took like 3 years for him to come back, and Disaster cussing out King of the Dot. Obviously, it was the right thing. And now, and you know what, I was going to say that was them in a way promoting big fights and whatever, but you know, they really banned Disaster right after that. And obviously, Disaster got casted, but that's just its own thing. Okay. Next part. Other than the Ruin Your Day shout out, this would be the last part. Let's see what Organik is saying about this, because it's not headlined. This culture used to be about building moments. Now it feels like a race to cash them out before they even matter. And if nothing changes, more events fall apart, more leagues step away, and the whole thing shrinks. This only works if both sides win. Leagues need artists needs leagues, media needs both. But the balance is gone. If you don't want to feed the machine, don't be surprised when it stops working. We can fix this, but it starts with structure, accountability, and everyone playing their role instead of trying to make someone else's. I've put my entirety of my life and finances into this culture, and I've watched half a dozen others do the same thing for the last 15 years, so no, we should not sit back and stay quiet while we watch this get mismanaged. This is not an attack. It's a reality check, and we actually care about battle rap. We should fix it together. One thing I do hate about this: leagues need artists need leagues, media needs both. There needs one more caveat: both need media. They need it. They need the media. If there's no one going to be out, if King of the Dot release an event once every 3 months, battle rap's not going to, like, our culture. It doesn't just thrive off of the culture's not fed. You, like, feed the machine. You need more. You need more. You need more. Premier Battles are actually doing a great job in feeding UK battle rap now, but they had to eat shit for 3 months. They had to eat shit and do nothing after Apex in June. They kind of caved and did an event in end of September for Stroh's birthday, which, you know, great. I love that. But they ate shit from after Apex to that with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just released the battles and that was it. What what we have to then think about is when they're eating shit and not doing anything, we need the media to talk about things. We need the media to do interviews with the artists. We need the media to then talk about these storylines. We need people to sell this shit when the leagues are not doing everything they should in this hypothetical world where there's the top 3 and then everyone else is feeder leagues. We need to talk about this stuff, and not always can we just rely on discussing about smaller league dramas. I say smaller league dramas, smaller league battles to then sustain that, because naturally we just don't want to know about it. We want to know about the guys we follow, and they're almost always at the fucking top, unless you're in your echo chamber. But that annoyed me that it's like media needs both, but it was kind of like it was basically artists and leagues, and the media was underneath. And I didn't like that. It's they all work together personally. So another part of this is it starts with structure, accountability, and everyone playing their role. So, you know, as he said before, no structure, no hierarchy, no accountability. It starts off by doing that. Now, if you want to develop this structure, this is maybe at least in my mind, I'm you know, as a battle rap fan from a teenager, and I've never booked a battle in my life yet. I hadn't, you know, I thought about running an event, but shit like No Cut 2 made me stop and go, hope, maybe not. Make sure I got all my fucking P's and Q's and whatever right. Make sure everything in my life's paid for and all that, right? Basically, lose money, right? Everyone playing their role instead of trying to take someone else's. If you want that to happen, we talked about the smaller leagues. You need to feed the smaller leagues. You need to feed them. So as much as they're going to be like, I don't know, let's say there's a relationship with iBattle and URL, which there was for a little bit. There was for a little bit for other relationship going on there. If you actually, even better example, Hennyman's League. I think it's like Do or Die Battle Rap League or something like that. One of them leagues. And what URL would do with him is they would book some battles, banned battles, and put them in the event. If you take a couple of battles that you have, some of these somewhat bigger name battles, put them in the feeder events to get the people in there. Like there was a Jack Boy versus Steams. I think it was one of them, and there was like Ryder versus someone. Ryder versus, was it Ryder? Was it Cuban? Was it Ryder versus Cuban? I think it might have been, because Cuban had the vest. Something like that, right? If you have something like that, and you could put, okay, I'm going to put URL. We're putting these battles on Do or Die Battle Rap League. So come and see them, but this is also where there's going to be so many other new people. You know, like, and so you give them something for people to come to. Doesn't have to be a big battle. Could be, let's say a King of the Dot example. Let's say it's Pigsty versus Psychosis Holocaust. And you have Ellipsis versus Aftershock, right? Let's just say, right? Pull 4 names out of my arsehole there. These battles are happening down here at Beast Mode. But if we're at Beast Mode, you also have all these other battles. Get the pay-per-view for these battles. Get the pay-per-view. But it's like, oh, if we take your talent, we'll put some battles that we've got booked, we'll put them in you guys' thing. And then King of the Dot, you could, whether it's a pay-per-view or whatever, King of the Dot can take the battles and put them back on their YouTube channel. But they've also had that crowd inside to then support these newer battle rappers as well. Like, or give the battles away with in working relationship with King of the Dot. Here is Pigsty versus Psychosis Holocaust. Like, and give you if you want people to play their role as a big league, you need to give back more. And a lot of this article has been saying we cannot do anything. We can't give back. We can't. The money's not there. People aren't even breaking even. The leagues are leaving with all this debt and whatnot. And it's a very sad, very real thing. But if we're going to take this position of everyone needs to play their roles and accountability, then the big leagues, not only do they, if if you're going to plant, if someone's going to plant fucking flowers, right, on the ground, who's going to give them the water? Who's going to give them the water, and then who's going to pick them up after? You can't pick them up unless they're watered. So if King of the Dot is watering the flowers, and then they blossom, then they can take them. But they have to put the water in. They have to support it. They have to give a bit of themselves to these feeder leagues. iBattle, Beast Mode, who else? These West Coast, the Riot Network, all these leagues. They need to put a bit. They need to give back to them, for them to repurpose and build this ecosystem, because the ecosystem works both ways. The feeder leagues need to be fed. The machine, like what was he said above that? It was a don't be surprised if it was something like I need to find that. It was like if you don't feed the machine, don't be surprised when the machine dies. Don't be surprised. Do not be surprised if it dies, because you don't have the people that are just willingly giving it away. If anything, the structure being hypothesized is these big leagues benefit, the fans are saved, the culture is all good, but it's on the debt of the smaller leagues. I know this. I'm looking so much into this article, and I actually don't really mean to be going in this depth, but there's some points I just think it's really important to get across that if, like, because this is a great article. It's a great article, and it highlights so many problems, but there's also problems within itself in what it's saying, in the detriment to that, where if it's standing on it, if we're and because and one of the reasons why I'm going over this is because I see so many people that are saying, preach, this is absolutely perfect wording, this is ideal, this is how it should always be, this is I'm going to take this into moving forward, I'm going to do this is, and people are going to preach this. If they are, they need to know what they're saying. And how that might affect them. I think Jazz the Rapper in particular, Jazz the Rapper, and I love Jazz as well, is very much one of those that goes from league to league to league to league to league, every league, and she's getting that experience. She's an independent artist who's getting that money. And she's getting all these experiences battling in the UK, battling in Canada, in America. She's getting that money because she is a sought-after talent. She's one of these people that this article talks like it's almost denigrating. It's almost putting it down. Of someone that battles every week, and in a way, I hate I'm saying this as well, with Champion of the Year. That affected it as well, because before Champion of the Year and before there was a cash prize at the end of the year, someone like Tay-Rock or someone like I don't know, K-Shine or whatnot, they might battle 3-4 times a year because the money incentive was only in doing the battles. It was not about being the best of the year and getting money from the fans and a belt and all this stuff. And as soon as we asked the battle rappers who could be the best, because the battlers were almost bullshitting through the entire battles, not giving not giving the leagues their money's worth, when someone held them accountable, they started battling fucking everywhere. And then, inadvertently, diluted the product. And but the same battle rappers, the A-Wars, the Lou Castros, the Snake Eyes again, and they end up fucking everywhere. Rum Nitties, they end up everywhere because they're also vying for being the best in the world of that year, because there's a cash prize incentive at the end of it. So even though they're great things, Champion of the Year, this is also a problem. But this is also there's so much that this article then says, and inadvertently says, that it's very difficult to, because the situation is so complex that I don't know how to save it. I can provide ideas. Please check my last video if you haven't already, and it's just walking in on this long conversation about battle rap and whatnot. I don't know how to save it, but if there is a way of saving battle rap, it needs to be a group effort, but you need to consider everything. Every single factor. But when you have something like this, which highlights what could happen, and if anything, this is Organik with the chair swinging back and forth, saying this is the problem. And I like that he's taking accountability on himself inadvertently with some of these points made, because some of these things King of the Dot did, you know. I do like that, you know. But you know, we need to know the problem. So if it's all battle rap is so subjective, and so is how to save it. It's even more subjective. How do we save it? Like what is the community? What do we want? What does the league want? What does the fans want? And how do we reach that out to further to other people? This is a very complex issue. And this article does everything it can to highlight all these problems. But what we now need is what's this problem? What's the solution? And going back and forth. Last part, ruin your day shout out. One last thing before I go. Every single person in this culture, league owners, artists alike, needs to give their respects to ruin your day. The consistency, the work effort, the attendance alone is something the entire scene should be paying attention to. I'm saying there because it's saying avocado, but you know, the team, rest in peace, Ben. They're traveling every weekend, showing up for events, doing the work, no excuses, no complaints, just working and just not just working and building, you know. So they're doing so much, putting in a real effort to help create a sustainable business model so this culture can actually survive and grow. A lot of people talk about what battle rap needs. He's the one of the few that are actually doing something about it, and we need more of that. Now, with all the drama going on right now, Avocado is someone that he does so fucking much for battle rap, and I love going to an event and seeing Avocado in the UK. And but you know, he is a freelancer and he has to get his money too, you know. He has to get his, but whether he actually gets his money or not, it's a different thing. So I'm not gonna, there's nothing I have to say about Organik's thoughts on Ruin Your Day, because all these guys, even your Anderson Burris who battles and does that shit, they all need their praise. They really do. Okay, so final thoughts on this. There is a lot of great points to this, in as an article, and I hope I've been as respectable. I've been as respectful as I can about this, and I'm not like I said, there's nothing about attacking the King of the Dot or anything on this. But I just, if you're going to talk about this, we also need to talk about more aspects of it, and what does this mean? What is he say? What is saying this, and what can we go back on? I think you look at battle rap now, the biggest situations. You know, if I think of battle rap in 2026, I think of Easy, I think of Averb, I think of No Cut 2, I think of all these negative things going on. And it is a fucking shame. You know, we finally got Shotty Horror and Tay-Rock, like, after all these years. If anything, that's a story built up from the UK. Then King of the Dot took it, but that's a very petty one. I'm very happy that battle eventually happened. I know the problems were all there. There's an argument there to be made when you say about, you know, poaching storylines and all that sort of thing. But sorry, but I do think this is a great article, and it's actually I'm also very surprised in how honest it is, with what's going on. And you know, I'm surprised a league owner wrote this. In all honesty, I'm very surprised. And I thought this might have come from someone like from Let's Talk Battle Rap. I'm surprised this has come from a league owner. And respect to Organik for being so transparent on the issues. But now we need to find the solutions. And I hope people take this article in mind moving forward. But it's so, the situation is so complex. I think but we have to love the culture as much as you know, we have to love the culture as much as the culture has loved us for so many years. People that followed it for so long, and their personalities are molded by battle rap. Like we have to save it somehow. pen game, and I actually think the King of the Dot on beat stuff's actually really good as well. But we need to have both. Like in the UK, pen game is completely overthrowing what UK battle rap is. And we have to have our identity back. And you know, Premier Battle's doing everything they can, but it's difficult to get that right. You know, if and I do believe there needs to be a hierarchy, but it's who gets to be that hierarchy. That's a difficult question to ask. But no, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Again, it's another one of these just kind of long content-y type videos. I appreciate you guys. Salute Organik. I love the transparency in this, and I hope I haven't come across all guns blazing. But when I'm so passionate about the culture, and there's a lot of this that I do agree with. But when we talk about these examples, when we talk about a lot of these things, it's so hard not to get angry or have a perception that kind of, this is clearly talking about this, where it's actually talking about the whole scope of battle rap. So with that being said, it's Cammygbr here. I appreciate you guys. Catch you on the next video.